Hello and welcome to another broadcast of In the Circle Ministries here, our YouTube ministry, where we take things and put them up under the microscope. We make our eyes singular, therefore making our body full of light. They say if your eye is darkened, then your body is full of darkness. And how great is that darkness? Today we're going to be just basically speaking on something that I say a lot and I want you to understand. You can go to the book of Psalms 82. Read verse 1 through, I think it's 1 through 6 or 1 through 7. But reading this in entirety, it's just a couple small ones. But it speaks in there saying that ye are gods. Didn't I say that you God? He said that ye are gods, and but you will die like men, and you will fall like one of the princesses. So you may hear me saying that I am God, and saying that ye are God. Uh, Getting caught up in the dynamics of the big G, little g. I know this much. I guess I would say for certainty, with the language and the way that it is written, that if we are children of the Most High God and we are children of, if our fathers are gods, now I guess we're going to say our mothers, but just for this, if my dad is a God, then I'm a God. Um, so that's what we have to deal with and understand that we are God and not God all by ourselves. We are accountable for all things that take place in our own personal life. We're not accountable for the whole world. We're just accountable for our lives and the things that um, we are over. If you want the best, you want the good. Um, it all starts in the kingdom of heaven, which is your mental plane. It's where your conscience is at. This is where God resides. This is where all the good things take place. And you have to excuse my facial expression. I'm not upset. The sun is just in my face. Um, so you have to understand that you are God and you're God all by yourself. Um, as I said before, you take accountability for all the things that take place in your life. Um, as it starts with your conscience and your thought process, your fears, your worries, your concerns, and those things are at the front of your conscience, or those are the things that's going to be produced in your life. The, Job said, "The things that I feared are the very things that came upon me." So I would say that when we deal with God and we hear about it in the Bible, we hear the fear of the Lord and the fear of God and all these other things. It should fall within us and fall upon our own other thoughts. That fear of the Lord and the fear of God that you hear about in the Old Testament. Anytime you have these thoughts of the thoughts that are not good for you, the thoughts you really don't desire for your life. Like I said before, your fears, your concerns, all the other things. As we would say, the pros and the cons. You're constantly focusing in on the cons, and the fear of the Lord should fall upon those thoughts, and you should keep you subdued. Keep those thoughts subdued. Keep them at bay. Keep them at rest. It said that if you draw near to God, He'll draw near to you. If you flee from the devil, He'll flee from you. Those thought concepts, those consciousness that produce the things that are producing your life to this day and have been, whether you know it or not. A lot of times we work ignorantly, well, with the power within it, not knowing the power that we possess in ourselves. So recognizing that and recognizing the God that you are is the only way that the Lord or the fear of the Lord can be spread out amongst the members of your body or the members of your consciousness. Um, so being the child of the Most High God, then we are seeds of the Most High God. And if we look at it in the plant world, then every seed produces every fruit or every tree of its own kind. It doesn't, orange trees doesn't produce apple trees, and pear trees doesn't produce lemon trees. Uh, Turnip greens are not going to produce cucumbers. It doesn't work that way. So if we are the children or the seeds of the Most High, then we're going to grow up into the Most High. We are the Most High. So I tell my daughters and my sons that um, when it comes to raising the grandkids or raising their children, that they're raising little men and little women just stuck in little bodies. So if they understand the consciousness and psychological things that we're dealing with in our child rearing and our upbringing in our little gods, and preparing them to be bigger gods, lowercase gods, into the bigger case gods, to become lords, masters over thyself and thy own house, or thy own consciousness, thy own house, thy own kingdom. Um, a lot of times, I believe that just because we've been indoctrinated, or that I'm going to say that I was indoctrinated, and a lot of things that I was taught, and a lot of things that I experienced in my upbringing and my livelihood, just because I'm from like what they call the Southern Belt down here in South Carolina. So Southern Baptist, a lot of Bible was taught here, and I'm not knocking anything because it's all a part of who I am. A lot of the understanding and greatness that I got out of it, and I wouldn't be able to understand doctrination if I didn't, if I never was indoctrinated. I would have never understood what it was like to overcome crack if I never smoked it. So these are some of the things that I speak of, and everything I speak of, something I've experienced and have came out on the other side. Um, I can't give you everyone's perspective, and that's not my job to give you everyone's perspective. I have to give you mine. That's where the power lies at. But so knowing that I am God, and experiencing that, as I was saying, like coming up in the southern and coming up in the southern belt down here, dealing with a lot with the Bible and understanding how hard indoctrination and tradition was laid upon us. And even if it's subtly done, or if it's done real gently, or if it's done maybe without all the rigorous of being a Southern Baptist, or whatever the religion may be. Sometimes it's just the cultural things, and it's nothing to do with religion. It's just the traditional things that are um, passed down without any information or knowledge, or passed down from one and forced to be given to the next as it is their own, not allowing the next individual or the next person to have their own experience. Um, so you have to experience things for yourself. You have to be God all by yourself. You have to understand all by yourself. You have to learn all by yourself, no matter how many tutors you have. Self-mastery comes down to being one, becoming to the I statement, becoming singular. Um, so anyway, if we're gonna deal with things, we have to deal with things in truth. And if we're gonna be able to allow our God that's inside of us to rule and to govern our lives and bring it to the perfect harmony and the plans that it had before we were placed in our mother's womb, the plans for us to prosper and not to harm us at all, then we have to understand and recognize who that God is and how it works and how it operates and the things that it desires, however it may be. So you have to get inside of yourself and to know thyself. You have to get inside of thyself and talk to thyself and put things to the test. Examine some things. Find out some truths. The truth will always stand if it is of God and if it's of the truth. So when I say God, I'm saying truth. Whenever you hear me speak of the God or the Father, I'm speaking of truth, absolute truth. From my standpoint, there's nothing more powerful than 100% truth, which is God, which is the Father, which is natural law, which are things that are proved to be evident, the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Okay? But, as I was saying earlier, whenever you can deal with understanding things beyond the traditions and beyond the indoctrinations, and done through all the things that they have given you reason to believe that you're not God and you're not God all by yourself, then these are the things you want to examine first. Examine what you know for truth first. Everything that you know to be truth, examine it. Put it to the test. Um, as I was saying before earlier, if we're gonna deal with things and we're gonna bring things to light, if our body is gonna be full of light, then our eye must be singular. Then we must understand that we are gods, but the fleshly part about us as well will return back to what it is, because it cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven. Is that the flesh has its own consciousness, it has its own way of acting and being and being into existence, and it only housed the God. It only housed the spirit. It only housed the life. It only housed the existence. This shell does the magnificent things it does because of the spirit inside of it, and the spirit inside of it is one that is all eternal. It is a power that is can't be destroyed, and it only can be transferred. That source of energy, that source of power that we all come from. If you have the breath in you, that power, that's what it is. It keeps the body healing itself whenever you get cut, get hurt, get harmed. Being one of the greatest, I would say, one of the greatest creations or inventions of God was the human body. I believe that we are compound with everything that is in existence. The human or the God, the hierarchy, physical being that we are. And this evolution is because we have every piece of God's creation inside of us, some way, some shape, form, or fashion. The DNA of something is inside of us, of all the creations. And scientists have proved a lot of these things anyway. So, being God that we are, and being the most dominant that we are, we must understand it in the spiritual format that we operate from that and not from the physical, not from the carnal. And the eye that is darkened is the physical eye. The physical eye is that which is darkened. We walk around in dark. Jesus said, "Let us work while it's daytime, because when it becomes dark, no man can work." The darkness is in the physical. And when we understand that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, that we must be about our Father's business, and we work in the light, not in the darkness. Uh, we don't work in the carnal mindset. We work in the spiritual mindset. And when we overcome this world, just like Jesus overcame this world, he said, "Take cheer, for I have overcome the world, and so shall you." So when we can overcome these things, we have to overcome them in our own mind, in our own individual walk. And we do these things by self-mastery and working with ourselves. We can't worry about the collective. We'll be drawn to those that are of like-minded and like spirit when it's time for us to be drawn to them. A lot of times in my walk, I had to understand there was time I had to be on my 40-day journey or my 40-year journey, or been off to myself. There's times you have to go off to thyself and deal with things by yourself. It is for the understanding of the spirit to be shown unto me, and certain things to me, so as I can actually put them to practical use. And that's another thing. Being able to understand a thing and put it to practical use, and you should get a practical result that should give you a undeniable understanding, overstanding. Give you undeniable overstanding. It's something else I'm trying to correct in my verbalness. I got it in my conscience, so constantly working on getting it out, of having a righteous, right understanding, righteousness, or right overstanding of a thing. And then can you actually get all the things we're talking about as far as getting the desired, or seeing being able to enter into these things and get the different results, or the different outcomes, or the logical outcomes. I was saying earlier, I forgot the word I was using, but being able to get those logical things out of it, and then you can see what's really going on with the thing that you're examining. God works through man. The Spirit of God works in man through man, and this is how God is showed to every man, or when I say man, I mean human and humanity. So when I spoke about it in the other videos, talking about the only perspective of God anyone gets to see is the perspective of God that I show them. And it goes with you as well. Any perspective of God that anyone has is the only perspective of God that you can give. So if we do that from a spiritual standpoint, my thoughts and my beliefs on that is that when we do it from a spiritual standpoint, it's not one of a religious standpoint. What I mean by that is, with a religious standpoint, you would want to persuade and convert someone over into your thinking and your believing and your thoughts and your way of life and your perspective of God. You would want to draw them into that, and then On top of that, you'll have the you'll have the you'll have the I'm sorry, I had a message coming in, kind of interrupted me. You have the spiritual side, whereas it draws people to your thoughts. You draw people of like-minded unto you, whether they have overstanding or they are still under a thing. If they have the correct, in order to get the correct overstanding, you must have the correct understanding. That's another thought and belief of mine too. I hear the word and I understand what they speak of when I do say the overstanding of a thing. It's real big in our community, but in order to get an overstanding, you must first have an understanding. You know, uh, they say to become the best, you must beat the best. Or if you want to be the best, you must play the best. Your however it may be. But um, so to get that, you must be able to understand that you will draw those to you, and those that you draw to you of like-minded and like energy. There is a conversion that has taken place in the spiritual where all praises, if we hear about in the Bible, all glory goes to the Father, all glory goes to God, all glory goes back to the truth. And there's no room for glory in the individual, which religion will have you to be. The religion will allow the preacher to steal the glory. It will allow the choir singers to steal the glory. It will allow the usher and the trustee and the deacon to steal the glory. It will allow the prayer giver to steal the glory. It will allow prideful Satan to be able to steal, be able to allow Judas to come in and be jealous. For those that understand, they understood what I was saying. So it allows a lot of things that should not be, because that is in the darkness, that is in the physical, that is when your eye is dark, or your eyes are plural of what I would say. Your eyes are plural, you're looking with the both eyes. You're not allowing both of your eyes to see with the singular. You're trying to serve two masters. You're trying to serve too many thoughts. You're trying to live upon too many consciousness. So whenever you begin to grow in the spiritual, there'll be things that happen to you and around you, and to those that be drawn to you. Then you count it all joy, for it's the practice or the perfecting of your of your gift. It's the perfecting of you. It's the perfecting of the spirit inside of you. You've asked and you've given it permission to lead, guide, and govern your life, and it is doing that, and it is setting it up in a way to where as you can receive and accept that guidance. And for me to grow into that same guidance, to whereas it's not too much of a allegiance and an acceptance, but it's one emerging of becoming one with, and being in such perfect harmony that it stays there. So I just want to encourage anybody and everybody that comes on the video, that's been drawn to the video, that subscribe, likes, comments, do whatever, or just pass through looking, that you look inside of yourself and identify with the God inside of you, and be that unique you that you are, so as humanity can benefit from that. Um, so as I say, as I teach and I preach and I do these things, it's not to mimic or to copy me in a sense, but find the spiritual principle in what I'm saying, and allow it to do whatever it does that it was meant to do in your life for you. Um, we'll be getting on later on, doing a little bit more videos, but I just wanted to get on to share some of myself with you guys, to help you in your walk, and understand that, once you put things up under the microscope and you see them for truth, and the truth is revealed unto you, there's only two things to do with the truth. You can accept it or reject it. But there's two things that you can never do to the truth. That's deny it or change it. You can never deny it or change it. You have to accept it or reject it. So go through, search for the truth, search for it. It says those that thirst and hunger for righteousness will find it. Those that hunger and thirst for right understanding, right overstanding will find it. So search for the right overstanding. I believe a lot of us already have plenty enough of the understanding. So get the understanding to get to right understanding. May the God in you be the God in you, and may He be blessed and prosperous for you as well as He is in my life, for me and mine. May prosperity, long life, wealth, good health, all the good things that can come on this side to accompany you in your spiritual walk. May it be doubled and tripled and quadrupled in your life. Thank you for joining in the circle, and catch you next time.